Sergei Vadimovich Stepashin was born on March 2, 1952, in Port Arthur, now Lushunko District, which was then part of the Kvantan Oblast in the Soviet Union, present-day China. His father served in the Pacific Fleet of the Soviet Navy, leading the family to relocate to Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, shortly after his birth, where Stepashin spent much of his childhood and attended school. Growing up in a military family, he developed an early interest in law enforcement and security matters. Stepashin pursued a career in the Soviet internal security apparatus. He graduated from the Higher Political School of the USSR Ministry of the Interior in 1973, earning qualifications in political and legal studies. In 1981, he completed his education at the Lenin Military Political Academy, focusing on military political leadership. Later, in 2002, he obtained a degree from the Finance Academy under the government of the Russian Federation. He holds a Doctor of Law degree, the academic title of professor, the rank of State Counselor of Justice of the Russian Federation, and the military rank of Colonel General. Early career in the Soviet and post-Soviet security services, 1973–1993. Stepashin's professional life began in 1973 when he joined the Ministry of Internal Affairs, MVD, of the USSR as an officer in the internal troops. He served in various capacities, rising through the ranks due to his expertise in counterintelligence and security operations. During the late Soviet era, he was involved in responses to ethnic and regional conflicts, including unrest in Baku, the Fergana Valley, Nagorno-Karabakh, and Sukhumi. By the early 1990s, he had become a deputy in the Leningrad City Soviet and aligned himself with emerging democratic movements in St. Petersburg, where he was known as a St. Petersburg intellectual for his cultured and educated demeanor. Stepashin remained a member of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, CPSU, until August 1991, when he abandoned it following the failed coup attempt against Mikhail Gorbachev. He was then appointed to investigate the coup participants. In 1991, he briefly served as head of the RSFSR, Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic, Committee on Defense. By 1992, he had become Deputy Minister of Security of the Russian Federation, marking his transition into the post-Soviet security establishment. Rise in federal security and key ministerial roles, 1994–1999. In March 1994, President Boris Yeltsin appointed Stepashin as Director of the Federal Counterintelligence Service, FSK, the predecessor to the Federal Security Service, FSB. He held this position until June 1995, overseeing counterintelligence operations during a turbulent period of Russian history, including the First Chechen War. His tenure ended amid controversy following the Budyonnovsk hostage crisis in June 1995, where Chechen warlord Shamil Basayev and his militants seized a hospital in southern Russia, taking over 1,500 hostages. Stepashin was criticized for the botched rescue attempt, which resulted in civilian deaths and was seen as a display of poor leadership. He resigned, taking responsibility for the failure, though some accounts describe it as a scapegoating by Yeltsin. After a brief hiatus, Stepashin returned to government in July 1997 as Minister of Justice under Prime Minister Viktor Chernomyrdin, serving until March 1998. In this role, he initiated reforms in Russia's prison system, aiming to modernize and humanize incarceration practices. He was then appointed Minister of Internal Affairs, MVD, in March 1998, a position he held until May 1999 under Prime Ministers Sergei Kuryenko and Yevgeny Primakov. As Interior Minister, Stepashin launched an aggressive anti-corruption campaign targeting official graft, though it notably spared allies of Yeltsin. He also chaired the Committee on the Chechen conflict, adopting a relatively conciliatory approach. He presented monogrammed pistols to Chechen separatist leaders, praised religious extremists who seized Dagestani villages, and publicly stated, "We can afford to lose Dagestan." These positions contrasted sharply with the harder line later taken by Vladimir Putin. In April 1999, amid political instability, Stepashin was named first Deputy Prime Minister while retaining his Interior Minister role. On May 12, 1999, following Yeltsin's dismissal of Primakov's government, Stepashin became acting Prime Minister. The State Duma approved his full appointment on May 19, 1999, making him Russia's shortest-serving Prime Minister. Tenure as Prime Minister, May–August 1999. Stepashin's premiership lasted only 3 months, from May 12 to August 9, 1999. Yeltsin explicitly described the appointment as temporary, using it to stabilize the government ahead of parliamentary elections and his own succession plans. Stepashin focused on economic reforms, security enhancements, and preparations for the Duma elections. He worked closely with deputies like Nikolai Aksyonenko and Viktor Krysenko on fiscal and industrial policies. Internationally, he engaged with U.S. leaders, including discussions with President Bill Clinton to de-escalate tensions over NATO's bombing of Yugoslavia in 1999, where he helped negotiate an end to the active phase of hostilities. His tenure was overshadowed by the escalating Second Chechen War and apartment bombings in Russia, which fueled security concerns. Critics, including Duma deputies like Sergei Rybakov and human rights advocate Sergei Kovalev, accused him of incompetence in crisis management, echoing the Budyonnovsk fallout. On August 9, 1999, Yeltsin replaced him with Vladimir Putin, signaling the end of Stepashin's inner circle influence. Post-premiership, parliament, audit oversight, and later roles, 2000-2013. Following his dismissal, Stepashin joined the liberal Yabloko party and won a seat in the State Duma during the December 1999 elections, representing St. Petersburg. He chaired the Duma's Commission on Combating Corruption but resigned on April 26, 2000, to accept an appointment as chairman of the Accounts Chamber of the Russian Federation, Shetnaya Palata, the country's federal audit agency. Appointed by the State Duma on April 19, 2000, at President Putin's request, Stepashin led the chamber until September 20, 2013, overseeing fiscal accountability, anti-corruption audits, and investigations into government spending. He was briefly dismissed in February 2005 but reappointed shortly after, highlighting his enduring ties to the Kremlin. During this period, Stepashin served on various boards, including those of Russian Railways, as an independent director and audit committee chairman, and Rosneft PJSC. He also became involved in cultural and international organizations, such as the Association of Lawyers of Russia, county chairman, and the Territorial Development Fund, chairman of the Board of Trustees. In 2014, he received an honorary doctorate from People's Friendship University of Russia, RUDN. Later career and public life, 2013-present. After stepping down from the Accounts Chamber in 2013, Stepashin focused on advisory and representational roles. Since 2007, he has served as chairman of the revived Imperial Orthodox Palestine Society, promoting Russian Orthodox interests in the Holy Land and fostering ties with Middle Eastern nations. He has also been active in legal and economic forums, including the Russian International Affairs Council, RIAC. Stepashin has remained a vocal commentator on Russian politics, security, and international relations. In 2024, he met with Vietnamese Ambassador Deng Minh Khoi on March 27 to discuss China and Northeast Asia affairs. In August 2024, he described the Ukrainian incursion into Russia's Kursk region as evidence that the Special Military Operation, SMO, had escalated into a full-scale NATO war, praising Russia's military-industrial response while criticizing Ukrainian actions as akin to Bandera extremism. 01B094. He has commented on global events, including calling the Soviet Union's unilateral support for German unification its grossest mistake in July 202560B056 and suggesting in August 2025 that a potential Russia-US presidential meeting in Alaska could advance peace talks on. In 2025, Stepashin addressed European leaders on security issues, warning German Chancellor Friedrich Merz in July about Russia's knowledge of Taurus missile production sites if supplied to Ukraine, promising a terrible response. 08AB3A. He explained the Kiev regime's survival through strong propaganda and forced mobilization amid population decline. 93AF9E. In June 2025, he likened Serbian protests to the Ukrainian Maidan and reflected on how Russian S-300 systems could have protected Yugoslavia from 1999 NATO bombings. Personal life, achievements, and controversies. Stepashin is married and has children. Details about his family remain private. He has received numerous honors, including the Order for Merit to the Fatherland, 2nd and 3rd classes, the Order of Courage, and Knight Grand Officer of the Order of the Polar Star. His career reflects a blend of security expertise, reformist zeal, and loyalty to Russian leadership across eras. Controversies center on his security roles. The 1995 Budyonnovsk crisis led to his resignation and accusations of incompetence. while his conciliatory Chechen policies in the 1990s drew criticism for weakness, especially post-1999 when Putin adopted a more aggressive stance. Despite these, Stepashin has maintained influence as a respected elder statesman, often appearing in media like TASS interviews and C-SPAN discussions on U.S.-Russia relations.